Hello and welcome to The Shed during Electoral Fever 2019, which we all know is of course a sequel to Electoral Fever 2017, which was in itself a sequel to Electoral Fever 2015 as the British public challenges itself once again to see just how badly it can punch itself in the face. Fresh from his admirably brave decision not to stand as an MP for the 8th time, Nigel Farage announced last week that he was prepared to form a Leave alliance with Boris Johnson. Not for the first time, Johnson has refused to enter into a relationship with someone he had previously been flirting with, so Farage has now announced he is going to form a Leave alliance with himself. Emma Watson would probably call it self-partnering, although I think the rest of us have a different term for it. He's now changed positions so many times he could probably write a new version of the Kama Sutra in which we're all fucked. Twitter has been alive with conspiracy theories involving 2016 footage of Johnson laying a wreath at the cenotaph spliced into the 2019 ceremony. Manchester City fans are thought to be particularly concerned. The main point of interest for the rest of us is that no one had a pop at Jeremy Corbyn's anorak this year because, stood next to Boris Johnson, he might as well be George Clooney. Not content with driving London commuters to despair, Extinction Rebellion have widened their campaign to include flooding Derbyshire and much of Yorkshire, as well as starting some of the biggest bushfires in Australian history. These people have absolutely no regard for other people's schedules, and the huge irresponsibility of insisting on the existence of some sort of man-made climate catastrophe simply to drive their own bonkers agenda must be stopped. Over in America, Donald Trump Jr. was triggered by a crowd of his own supporters demanding a Q&A at the launch of his new book, Triggered, about how the left wants to silence him, so left the event having silenced himself. This would be the most batshit crazy thing a Trump family member did this week, but we know what a competitive family they are, and luckily his dad is now reacting to his impeachment in a way that makes Richard Nixon look like Shirley Temple. In sports news, I'm afraid you're going to have to watch this back again and decide if you can agree on what's happened, in the full knowledge that at least 50% of the other people watching will disagree and probably formulate a conspiracy theory about why it did or didn't happen. And finally, as the festive season approaches, may I recommend the new movie Last Christmas. And don't just take my word for it. Rolling Stone described it as the kind of bad that falls somewhere between finding a lump of coal in your stocking and discovering one painfully lodged in your rectum. That's not my joke, but I've cunningly spliced it into footage of my other jokes, and you can all make your own decision about whose it is by watching back on VAR. And that's all from Technophobe Amateur News Shed. Join us next week when we'll be discussing if the only thing Orwell got wrong was the year.